Roy Brown, Senator Roy Brown, joins us this morning. Roy, we had some confusion yesterday, and I'm glad that you're in the studio with us. Welcome, by the way.
Well, thank you, David. I'm glad to be here.
Roy, we had a little confusion yesterday, or at least I had some confusion, and I just wanted to straighten it out this morning. Rick in Glendive sent me a note, and I read the note that he sent, and it was a note saying that Brian Schweitzer has done kind of a strange thing here, in a long string of strange things. He went to the Office of Political Practices and obtained a copy of Bob Brown's previous campaign contributors. Then he sent them a fundraising letter asking for the money for his campaign.
That's right.
All legal, of course, but it's just, I don't know whether he thought that those contributors would now provide funding for the Schweitzer campaign since Bob Brown is no longer a candidate, or maybe just to make sure that they didn't contribute to. It's an intimidating thing. It's a bullying thing. Just trying to make sure maybe that they don't get confused and contribute to the Roy Brown campaign.
Well, I think that's a lot to do with it, David. I thought a long time about this. Why would someone do that? And the only answer I could come up with is just making sure that everyone that donated to Bob Brown in the past would be intimidated to donate to me because he's watching,
Yeah. Well, it's a common tactic coming out of Helena these days, and that's unfortunate. Of course, and one of my callers mentioned this yesterday, that Brian couldn't say he's got clean hands on this. I didn't know anything about it. Somebody in his campaign probably did that. What I would ask the governor, though, is would he approve of something like that? And if not, is he ready to can the guy in his campaign office that did do it?
Well, I don't know about that, but it's just one of these things where I'm kind of glad that he spent a lot of money sending out all those mailings, and I would think that there probably weren't too many that came back to him, and so if that's what he wants to do, fine. I kind of made a joke about it myself. My wife even got one. I have a copy of it here.
Oh, is that right?
And I said, Kim, now you didn't send him a check, did you? But it was kind of funny.
Well, I'll bet that she didn't send a check. Well, anyway, once we get this confusion out of the way, it was when I called you about this at the same time, I was getting a note from Webb Brown.
Oh, we've got a lot of Browns around here.
Got a lot of Browns, yeah. And Taylor Brown in the office downstairs.
Yeah, that's right.
He sent me a note on the results of a poll that was recently taken by the Chamber of Commerce. I want to take just a second and thank Webb for that, but also I want to thank him for the work that he's doing for the Montana Chamber of Commerce. That's a hard-working guy, and we knew him well when he was in Billings.
Yes, we did, and he's got some good people working for him, too, Jonathan Binion and some other people there that are just doing a great job. And recently they were both in town, and they were passing out the Champions of Business Awards for the people in the legislature that had a voting record that met certain standards that they had on various business-related issues in the legislature. I was fortunate enough to receive one of those. I had a 95% rating with the Chamber of Commerce.
95%? That's pretty close to perfect.
Well, it's an A anyway.
Yeah.
And my opponent, Brian Schweitzer, had a 12% rating. So, I guess that may have some indication as to how business friendly he is.
Well, we've always said here that there wasn't a whole lot because small business in Montana really was running the business in Montana. You can talk about the big companies, you can talk about the banks, you can talk about corporations and so on. But the fact is, what's the number? 85%, 90%?
Oh, it's over 90% of the businesses in Montana are small businesses, and that's where all the jobs come from. That's where we really have the economic life in this state, and we have to make sure that they prosper and that there is not undue intrusion into their businesses. They have to follow our laws, but we need to have regulators that have a philosophy that will help you get through this if you have a problem and not try and just shut you down.
Yeah, or make it difficult to get a new business started. We've heard from a lot of people in that regard that, my gosh, the hoops that you have to jump through to get a business started in Montana. for a small business sometimes doesn't make it worth it.
Well, and other things that we have that are anti-business are things like the business equipment tax and high property taxes and various things like that. You know, we're going to have to take a strong look at that. I'd like to eliminate the business equipment tax.
Yeah, well, you had a chance. The Democrats blocked it. I mean, you hit the trigger a long time ago, and instead of eliminating it like previous legislators had planned on doing, or legislation rather had planned on doing, the Democrats kept it in place. That's unfortunate.